Hello.
Well,
Do you have a card?
I'm sorry, what?
Do you have a card?
Sure do.
Great.
I'll grab you one.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Could you clarify for me what's the difference between what code enforcement looks at and what building inspector looks at?
Code enforcement doesn't have the building and codes or certifications to look at the electrical stuff, so that's why they make them pull a permit, and then I come out and verify it does meet minimum code standards.
Do you look at things like mold under the sink or
No, ma'am.
nothing like that? And about like the pad underneath the air conditioning unit?
It depends.
Okay.
I have to take a look at it and see what it is. There are requirements for those, but it's currently all I'm going to be looking at today is what's on the list for me as far as what's associated with the building permit.
Since you're right here, it's just a quick question. Could you just like take a peek and say if it's a problem or not?
No, ma'am. I have to stick with what's on here.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh, do you deal with flooding at all in the basement?
If it's on the building permit, ma'am. It has to be on the
If
permit.
it's not on the list, you don't deal with it.
If it's not on the permit, then I'm not at liberty to give an assessment on anything that's not my department.
Oh, that would not be your department?
No, ma'am.
Okay, whose department would that be?
That would be code enforcement.
Okay, thank you.
This is the 50 being installed for a basement sub, or was this already there?
It was already there.
Okay, let's take a look at what we got down there.
Can you turn on the light, Julia, please, for the basement?
Sure.
All this wiring down here that you fixed up and stuff in that sub panel.
The sub panel is right here. There wasn't any wiring that was cut off this way. The wires were cut up on the front.
Got some old Romex here. Got some new Romex. The good thing is this stuff has ground wires in it, so you're not linking ungrounded circuits to grounded circuits, so that does meet code as far as that is concerned. Dishwasher?
This was the
Kitchen GFIs.
yeah. This was labeled by whoever installed this prior. I didn't put this in.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 handles. That's perfect. Any more than that, we'd have to have a main disc in it.
Mm-hmm.
But 6 handles is the maximum allowed. Do you know if any of this old knob and tube is still being used?
I am not totally certain. The circuits that I did add, the GFIs,
Mm-hmm.
had an open ground. That's why I put a GFI in there.
Okay.
And that's, instead of having, putting in the two, like the 2-prong ones,
Mm-hmm.
I installed GFIs.
And they operate correctly?
They do. They all operate correctly. Because I heard that that was, you were able to do that. But I didn't touch any of that wiring.
Would you like me to open the door for you?
There's not much back in here, honestly. There's only one light and one wire right here to this old box, and that conduit that runs and pops back out this side.
Yeah, there's knob and tube, and then there's that wiring that goes inside the pipe.
I don't really want to touch this stuff. But what it looks like here, you wouldn't happen to have like a widget on you, would you?
Oh, you mean like one of those?
Just one of the little live circuit testers, yeah, that beeps when it's hot.
No, I use just a regular.
You got like a voltmeter?
Yeah, voltmeter.
Okay.
But I used to have one of those widgets.
Well, part of my concern is this right here. So if you look at this one, right here, so you see you got your knob and tube here, and then it's connected to that Romex here, and you got that bare ground wire. So that is an ungrounded circuit. If it's dead and not being used, we should remove it. But obviously I can't tell if it's dead or not. But if that is all, if all this stuff here, all this knob and tube is no longer in use, it needs to be removed.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're saying because it's showing a bare wire here.
Mm-hmm. Well, because knob and tube has no ground, so you can't run it to a circuit that has grounding. You can't connect two circuits like that.
Okay.
Yeah. Because that ground wire can't just free float in there and be landed back at the panel and not landed here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because then you're connecting a grounded system to an ungrounded system, and that doesn't work.
So a grounded system to an ungrounded system.
Yeah, you can't do that.
Can't do that.
What happened to this light bulb?
Would probably just burned out. Yep.
It
Looks
just
like
went,
it.
it just,
Oh, there it goes.
that's what I'm talking about. I was like, what just happened? The light flickered.
We didn't even touch anything.
Didn't touch anything. Okay, so one of those little widgets is a little thing that lights up.
Yeah, or a voltmeter just to see if those circuits are live. Because if they are live, we can't have the connections made in that fashion. You have to, if you're going to utilize the knob and tube like that, you'll have to run a ground wire the rest of the way to the end of the circuit and get it attached to the fixture, whether it be an outlet or a switch, to make it a grounded circuit, or rerun the full electrical with that to eliminate the knob and tube. But yeah, you can't have knob and tube splices with Romex.
Knob and tube, let me take note.
Yeah. So far, that's the only spot I've seen knob and tube where it's still in use. See, over here it's been abandoned, but no, not quite. In a similar situation here, so this stuff too, like you got these old Romex wires going into this J-box.
Yeah.
You gotta have your rubber clips here, your plastic clips.
Okay.
And then you see right here, we got these splices. That probably was the knob and tube in that conduit. And now we got open junctions. You can't have open junctions. And it'll be the same thing. If that knob and tube is hot and it's being active,
Yeah.
it can't be linked with the grounded circuit. You'll have to rerun those.
Knob and tube, Romex.
And then honestly, I'd like to see this ceramic base go away.
Yeah.
With the traditional light base, because it doesn't have a box for the connection.
Okay.
We just have exposed hot terminals.
Base for light.
Yeah. I'm not going to go touch some of this stuff. I don't want to find out the hard way and get shocked.
I could bring out a voltmeter.
Yeah, we might need to grab the voltmeter because again, look, I mean, with the old thing, we got a ground wire in here that's not being utilized, so there's something.
So looking at two circuits.
Yeah. I'm just trying to go through what's here and what I can quickly diagnose and what I can find. There's some of the old pipe too. Is that water?
Yeah, that big sucker.
Yeah.
It might have been.
Okay, because it's no longer in use, it's abandoned.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, just because I see cut terminals here.
Yeah, because that's what the
Okay.
the ground wire was on. So.
Yeah, all these old pipes here, these have all been abandoned and sliced and diced.
Mm-hmm. The overrun
The
the water pipe. Yeah,
Yeah, because that was done before you purchased it.
yeah, like all this water pipe right here.
Yeah, they did you no favors.
So you want to cut them out?
Well, you gotta cut out all the unused stuff.
Okay.
Anything that's not being utilized anymore needs to be removed. I know it's a lot, but it's gonna be slightly difficult for you to map out what's what, but anything that's no longer being used electrical wise or plumbing wise should not be left behind. Because all it does is just make it confusing and you can't determine what's what.
Okay.
So, and obviously you are the owner of the home. Do you have any form of contractor's license?
No, I got it under a.
You had an electrician do it, or you did pull this as an owner builder, correct?
I pulled it as owner builder.
Okay. There are no rules against that. As far as that goes.
Mr. Newell,
Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am.
I have a question about what is this?
That's telephone communications.
So it's nothing to worry about?
No power runs through that. It's all low voltage. So it's just signal wires for a telephone.
Okay,
That's the way they used to run those back with panel boards in the day, and they don't utilize any of that anymore. Honestly, it's way outdated, but there may still be a phone connection that does operate a phone jack in the home, so I wouldn't remove it.
okay,
Just in case, because they are still mandated to include phone lines in houses still. So you can't remove them completely, but there's no electricity in anything that's in there.
okay.
Yeah, none of those wires
this
carry
is-
current. That is the only one, but that's plugged in at the top with an outlet.
Uh-huh,
So, I mean, that power strip down here, if that was used for your own purposes, for like, you know, a light or anything or anything for you, Christmas lights, things like that, that's fine to have like that. There's no rule against it. But that can't be like your permanent source of power for things in your basement, which it's not.
okay, cool. One more question as you're walking out.
Mm-hmm.
There's some kind of, are those phone wires coming out of the wall?
These right here?
I-
Yes, they are. These right here?
I can't see through the people.
Oh.
No, on the bottom, on the concrete, on the staircase.
Oh, over.
That,
This?
what's that?
Yeah, that follows up. That's these. These are just signal wires, again, for the same type of thing. All this right here, if it's an old telecom system, yeah, because you see all these little tiny wires. These are signal wires for telephone services.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
Okay, and
That
this was your
alleviates.
gas bond right here, or this was the old water bond?
That looks to be gas.
Okay, that is
So we went from there to here, and then this is the old
water
old
line.
water line,
Okay,
and then that's where it was cut. That's the ground right there
gotcha.
for the water and gas bond.
Okay. Yeah, and then again, you still got some connections with no strain reliefs. You're probably gonna need to crawl through some of this stuff, because I see some more back here, some more over there.
All right.
The hard part about this is code enforcement writes it up in general fashion. They
Yeah.
don't give me specifics for down here, so I gotta kind of figure out what's not code and what is, and what we can leave and what we can't.
Mm-hmm. So I'll that Romex coming in the boxes. I'll put the plastic.
Yeah, put all the strain reliefs on
Mhm.
those, and then you're gonna need to figure out what's operating on the knob and tube, if anything. If there's nothing operating on that knob and tube, pull it all, get it out of the way,
Yeah.
So that way we can verify that that knob and tube is no longer in service and has been removed and is now powered with a correctly wired circuit.
All right.
Okay. As far as the ground, because that's our main panel right there. So let's reinstall the ground wire to the gas line.
Okay.
And that can be, you've got a 100 amp service here, so that can be a number 6 ground wire. Solid or stranded, it's up to you. I always prefer solid. It does not have to be in a casing.
Okay.
It can be bare and exposed as long as it's number 6 or greater.
Okay.
If you brought it to a number 8, it has to be in a raceway. But a number 6 is capable per code to be exposed.
All right.
It does not have to be protected
Okay.
because of the size and thickness of the wire.
So I'm gonna go gas line.
Yeah. Just
Straight.
go gas line straight back to
So-
the ground bus
All right.
on the panel.
Sounds good.
Because you should, like I said, you had a rod out here.
Mm-hmm. Straight down.
Rod, yeah, right there. Yeah, so this is also number 6, copper wire. And there's your second one right there that runs in.
So I'll take that one from the ground and then come straight up here into the ground bus.
Technically, and this is going to be the hardest part for you,
Yeah.
this is not a legal dead front.
Okay.
So in this instance where you don't have the dead front, because it obviously was gone,
Yeah.
if you're going to make your own, you are allowed to construct and make a new dead front out of your own material, but it must be the same thickness and type of material as the panel.
Okay.
So this, you can see the thickness of this metal, it's not the same thickness as the panel.
Yeah.
That's the problem.
Okay. So come with the new.
It has to be the same nominal thickness metal as the panel. And then, so my other question is, so we've got some 30 amp single pole breakers. At least that's what it looks like from I can't tell. This is a double pole, more than likely, because this is, probably when this was built, this was a listed handle tie at the time. But you've got a third one here, and you can't get 30 amps without 2 pole. So I'm kind of concerned as far as what these
If
are.
those are open, they're not being used.
Yeah.
When I come up with the new dead front, just block them off.
Yeah, if there's nothing attached to any of these breakers, or some of these have been abandoned and are no longer in use, then yeah, I wouldn't leave them in there.
Okay, I'll pull
Just
them out.
reorganize your panel,
Mm-hmm.
and then that way you can just leave it unpunched for your unused slots.
All right.
So that way you don't need breaker blanks and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, you'll need to go through that and figure it out on what's what. Yeah, because one does say listed as, these 2 are listed as open. So if these are not being used,
Yeah, they're unused.
yeah, then I would just eliminate them. This 30, this one I'm not sure. It probably was over here with this one as the handle tie for it. I don't know, but again, it does say open and open.
Yeah,
So,
they're not used.
Yeah, if they're not being used, then go ahead and remove them. So that way we don't, because we don't want to have 2 pole breakers without listed handle ties. Same goes for any of these. Okay, if any of these 20s are sharing a neutral.
Yeah.
So if you got one neutral coming in and it branches 2 breakers, take the hot to 2 different places.
Mm-hmm.
That's allowed to do,
Yeah.
but those have to be tied together with a listed handle tie.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you turn one leg off,
Yeah. You
that
lose the
neutral will now carry the current for the other leg, and it will relight it.
Yeah.
So you have to turn them both off, and you can't. They have to operate together.
Okay.
Okay, but you do have your minimum grounding as far as the rod that makes the panel safe. You will need the gas bond,
All right.
and then your GFI is inside. So what I'm going to have you do,
Mm-hmm.
provided we have the permission here for you to go inside,
Yeah.
I need you to do a slow video for me as you go. Show me exactly where you're walking.
Mm-hmm.
Insert this. Let me see it light up correctly. Use this to test it.
Okay.
This will test the GFI, make sure it's functioning correctly. I need you to go to each one
Mm-hmm.
and then provide me, and then we'll watch the video together and make sure everything works correctly. Just show me everything you've done, because currently with COVID, I'm not allowed.
Inside the house. Okay.
Mr. Newell,
Yes.
what I understood he needs to go inside, but I didn't understand what room or where for that.
Wherever he's installed the GFI outlets that he put in,
Oh, okay.
I need to have all those tested to make sure they function correctly.
So that's the living room and where else?
Front room. Living room. No, front room.
What are you calling the front room? The front room is the living
That's
room.
all the way up front.
That's the living room.
Okay. The living room. The bedroom.
Which bedroom? The front
This
bedroom?
Master. This one right here.
The back bedroom? Okay.
The back bedroom, and one right here, where the laundry room is.
Okay.
Now,
Just out of curiosity, why did we put GFIs in the bedrooms in the front room?
because of that open ground.
Okay.
Probably from that circuit.
Okay, well, let's see, because if they still have an open ground, you got the GFI in there, did you test them to make sure they operated correctly with one of those? Or did you just
I
hit
plugged it in. I plugged it into like a radio.
Okay, so it has power, but then the only way you tested to make sure the GFI resets was to hit the button that's on the outlet itself?
test.
Yeah, that won't give you an accurate
So
pop.
I'll test it with this.
That's how you test them.
Okay.
Because that is going to send that into a mode where it's going to detect an arc fault or a ground fault, and it's going to make it strip itself.
Okay.
If it's ungrounded, it will not work.
Mr. Newell, is that okay?
The missing corner on the AC stand?
Yeah.
I'll be right back. I have to get some booties.
Yeah.
The dogs, like, it got foam there, and I'm just worried about the dogs being exposed
Yeah,
to the
because
foam.
these, to save weight for AC guys, they are made like that.
And that styrofoam
it would
is...
be an issue if the AC was hanging off and tilting over, but since it's still larger than the air conditioner itself,
It's okay?
yeah, it's okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, if it was smaller than the air conditioner and we were having a tilting problem, yes.
Thank you for your reassurance. I appreciate it. It's a lot of learning curve as just a tenant, you know?
Uh-huh. Oh, that's for sure.
Oh, I have a question that's unrelated to this house.
Okay.
Is this anything, see how it's like stair-stepping, cracking?
Mm-hmm.
Is that anything to be concerned about, or is that just like normal?
If I were your neighbor, I'd be concerned.
So, I did try to report that, but nobody's come out to inspect it.
Well, so what will happen in that instance, when code enforcement comes out, they will cite them. If they're not a property owner, it will go through the mail. If the property owner chooses not to address the situation, there's nothing more that can be done. He'll just keep receiving fines, and they'll place a lien on his property and won't be able to do anything with it.
Okay. And
until the issues are resolved.
Attaching this here is okay? He didn't ask the other guy.
The way you've got it here, if that roof decided to slide, that wouldn't stop it, I'll be honest. I wouldn't be so much concerned about the roof and the whole structure failing like in an instant. That's something that will take a long time for it to happen. These houses out here are probably near 100 years old. Something like this is not that uncommon as far as with the settling, with how heavy a CMU wall is. That's concrete masonry units. That's what this is. Because those cells are filled with grout, so it's completely packed tight. It's full of concrete. So the weight there is very extreme, and if it does have some uneven settling, this is what you'll see.
So it'd just be gradual, it wouldn't be sudden.
It's gradual. This has probably been doing this for the last 60 years, and it's been this long to get to this point.
Okay.
And the building itself will probably still stand for another 60 more, barring a major earthquake. But back when these houses were designed, earthquakes were not planned for.
Right. And then, like, that's nothing to worry about. That's just water, right?
That's just normal stucco settling. It happens. That building was probably re-stuccoed over the original structure.
I'm gonna go in to the front room.
All right.
Do you want to go in first, Julia?
I'll let you go in first, and I'll come in behind you.
Okay. So my video, I'm gonna go plug by plug.
Yeah, just follow yourself plug by plug. Show me everything that you've done.
Okay.
And then I'll review what you've got out here to make sure everything works correctly. Obviously, if you go to the first one and that tester doesn't work,
it's not
you
gonna
can
work.
end it right there.
Yeah.
And then we'll have to come back when it gets fixed.
Now, the room with the dogs, are you going to need to go where the dogs are?
Yeah, I will go to the front room where the dogs are not first.
Okay, and then I can move them. Okay. Thank you so much for your help. I really appreciate it. There's a weird hum. I think it's the solar panels, and it's only at night. Is that solar panels that make a hum?
No.
Like at nighttime, I hear like a ee, and it's only in this back bedroom, kind of like around the corner of the exterior wall. I'm gonna go in with him.
Yeah, no problem.
Drives me nuts though.
supposed to trip it? Yeah. It is, huh? Is that what he said?
Working good.
Huh?
That was working good. That was working good.
I don't know.
Yes.
I think it is supposed to trip. Let me show him these three. And then you can move your dogs, please.
Are you ready for? Those were approved. So you
I'm gonna show.
let me wait until he
Inspector.
approves it before I move the dogs.
Well, you wanna move the dogs and then I'll make another video and we can show them all at once?
Well, if he said if that video doesn't get approved, I don't have